let's talk about unions and SAG. So I think a lot of independent filmmakers don't realize that to get the best level of talent, you really do want to hire Screen Actors Guild actors, which in one of our casting sessions we'll discuss, how to do online casting, how to hire a casting director, how to work with casting directors. But let's just assume we already have the cast assembled. We do have a majority of union players. Can we talk about requirements that SAG will ask for, what they call fringes, and also money that you'll have to keep in escrow with SAG, and how that can sometimes be an unexpected expense for producers?
Yeah, it's always an unexpected expense, and it's
always more than you think.
And the time you get the money back is always longer than you thought as well.
It's like tax credit money.
It is like tax credit money. Can even be even more so. First, a word about SAG and SAG actors is, if you have investors, it is a primary obligation to those investors that you get the biggest name that you can possibly get in every single role.
In your budget range.
That's right. And you'll be surprised at what names want to work, particularly if it's good. If it's a good script, they'll work for whatever you're willing to pay, or there'll be someone close to them, because they want to act. They crave good scripts.
Right.
If it's not a good script, then you're screwed.
Or a great director or a great script, ideally both.
Right. I remember having a situation once where a client had the opportunity to have a very big blockbuster name talent be for the role, and he said no. He thought another actor was better just because he's seen him in the stage play, and no, this guy is more the character. And I said, this other guy's got an Academy Award. He's been working for quite some time. I'm pretty sure he can pull it off, successfully. He may not be as good as your no-name guy, but I have a hunch it's going to work. And he's going to get you domestic theatrical.
Right.
And that film never, the financing fell apart because they wanted Joe Schmo instead of a big A-list guy who came to it because he loved the script. The script was amazing. It was a biopic based on somebody that particular actor had longed to play for years. He was waiting for that role, and we could have shot him out. And it was the title character is only in, it could be shot out in like 5 days in the movie anyways. It's just like there's some pivotal scenes that he interacts with. So, but it was just a case of what could have been.
And then it's be careful who you piss off as well, because you say no to that person. Good luck getting anyone from that agent or probably that agency again.
Right. And we just knew he wanted it and come in. It was a tough situation. So Screen Actors Guild actors, you need them, and get the biggest name you can. Sure, if you're doing a low budget horror film where part of it is,
the genre is the star.
Yeah, that's right. The scare's the star. Then consider going non-union in that regard. And there are many incredibly talented actors, incredibly young, especially young actors that typically, are in those films, right. And it can work just fine. But if you're going to be with the Screen Actors Guild, spend the time to learn what the different budgets are, understand their obligations. There are lots of them. Understand what you need to pay. Always have a payroll company. Don't have your mom do
your
shortchange
checks
on that. Make sure it's a payroll company that understands how to pay union employees and what the obligations are for withholding for the pension and health fringes. There is a lot of paperwork that is handed off at the very beginning. I assure you, every piece of paper has a meaning, and you need to understand what every single thing is that you sign. And when they say, we're from SAG, trust us, it's a little bit like, we're from the government, trust us, we're here to help you. They are there predominantly to help their members. And they want to help ensure that their members get paid. They want to help ensure that the union gets paid its health and pension. So there is a lot of the initial paperwork has to do with financial assurances and financial guarantees, and all of that paperwork means something, and they often ask for a lot of documentation, sometimes more documentation than is really required or necessary, but if they ask and you cooperate, then everybody's happy.
And sign everything. Don't let anyone leave set any day or night without signing out every day.
It'll come to haunt you if you don't. The key to good producing is organization. Be very attentive to details, and you'll get your money back faster, and there'll be a lot less aggravations throughout everything, every aspect of filming. So understand, read everything. Don't treat union contracts like you do the contracts on an internet, Facebook, et cetera, where you just click.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Don't do that.
You need to really understand, and attorneys can help explain what those obligations are, and how they continue long after the filming is made. Things like residuals and your obligation to force distributors to assume the residual paying obligations. I mean, we could go on a lot of those things. So the union is incredibly helpful. They help sell your films. They bring you the most talented actors there are. But at the same token, read everything. It comes at an expense, legitimate expense, and just every producer should go in with their eyes open and understand what that expense is and how it will affect them. And sometimes you went to a long extent to make sure you have an entity to protect you for liability, yet you'll sign a piece of paper that totally
holds you
personally liable on all of that.
And I would say the best thing that SAG offers for new filmmakers, aside from the website, which is SAG Indie, which is phenomenal, there's guides for each budget range, but they also have an information night once a month.
And interesting, SAG Indie is actually a separate and distinct organization from SAG, and SAG Indie is there to help the producers.
To help they're
affiliated, but they're not. They're technically they're not a part of the union. Right. They are
an independent entity.
Independent entity. Yeah.
And the goal is to ultimately make the process easier for independent filmmakers so that you are incentivized to hire SAG actors. How much of a budget for payroll should a producer plan to set aside for that SAG escrow account?
I'll tell you this, there is a way to reduce the escrow amounts, and if you come to our firm, which has a great deal of experience in dealing with with SAG, we know a number of cost-saving ways to that you can implement in terms of legitimately, with the union's blessing, get those payroll amounts reduced. There are certain strategies and techniques that the unions recognize and are perfectly happy with, but you have to know them in order to utilize them, and I don't think
the average indie producer does.
Well, I was going to say they don't, and I think my partners that have spent a lot of years, learning the tricks of the trade and working closely with SAG to see what they permit and what those precedents are that have been established. They probably wouldn't want me talking out of turn on the internet.
Understood. Well, David, you've been amazing and so informative. And if this series of videos hasn't been informative enough and you need more information, please feel free to contact David Pierce at the below information. You can reach out to him via phone or email, and he would be more than happy to set up a consultation.
Or one of my 9 attorneys.
Yes,
if you don't get me, you'll get an equally well-versed Pierce Law Group attorney.
Expert.